Welcome back. This is a Wednesday night in the high school fan zone on 100.7 The Score. We just finished up with Lubbock High. We're going to shift gears to Friendship. I've got Coach Jay Northcutt over to my far left and Chase Campbell, who I think probably most people in Lubbock are familiar with that name by now. I think they know who you are, Chase. He's a Texas Tech commit, not signee yet. You can't put pen to paper yet. I don't know, do they even put pen to paper anymore, or is it all electronic?
You do, but I don't know that it's officially the contract that gets signed. I don't want to give away too many secrets on signing day.
Yeah, we're not going to wander down into that. That's a road I'm glad I don't mess with. Good. Congratulations, Chase. I'm happy for you. I enjoy covering high school sports, so we'll just leave it at that. Tigers opened the season on the road, neutral site game against Byron Nelson last Thursday. Got beat 30-7, and I've said this to Jay twice. Sometimes when you win a big game or you have a great successful start to the season, you may not have as much to work with in terms of coaching guys. You guys had a lot to coach with this week. Left some opportunities out there. Did some good stuff. This guy created another highlight reel moment. I wish I would have gotten it to Kyler so we could have shown that while we were talking. Had some guys make some plays, had a quarterback get used to the 6A level. When you stepped back on Friday or Saturday, whichever it was, what was your general assessment of you guys' performance?
Well, we were definitely expecting to win that game, and obviously it didn't go our way. And as you mentioned, even immediately after the game and then from watching the film, we felt like we really stopped ourselves offensively a lot of times. Overall, I felt like our defense played pretty good against a pretty good offense. Offensively, we just didn't finish some drives, and we didn't execute the way that we want to. So at least gives you the opportunity to go back and figure out where you need to focus and what you need to emphasize, moving forward to get back to playing good old Tiger football offense.
And that was a game I covered, and the thing I wrote about is that first half was very tight, very competitive, but there were two moments. You didn't get the ball in the end zone on your first possession, and then Chase gives you a ton of momentum. Looks like you're going to go into halftime just down 6, and then all of a sudden the ball tips off of a DB's hands, and the receiver, as you will say as a receiver, he was where he was supposed to be and made a play. And those two kind of became the linchpins. And second half, Byron Nelson just they controlled a lot of the second half.
Yeah, that sometimes the ball just bounces that way, like on that tip pass. But again, going back through the game, I felt like, we had our opportunities. We didn't cash in on them, against a good team, and they made fewer mistakes than we did, and that's why the game turned out the way it did.
So because of, I don't know if it was operator or it was a technical difficulty, I did a video with Quaid and Brandon the other day. My camera ate it, Chase. I want to ask, I'm going to say something to you that Quaid basically tried to wear the whole loss on his back. You're a guy who works with him. Tell me why that's not all on a quarterback's back when things don't go exactly right.
Yes, sir. Just can't blame the loss on one person or just one play at all. It's always a team effort, whatever we do, whether it's someone drops the ball, it's not just the receiver, or if someone misses a block, it's not just the lineman. It's just we all had to come together and tell Quaid we'll be all right. First game we lost last year, and look what that season turned into.
Exactly. It's what you said to me after the game. And I mentioned this to Jay and to Quaid. All you had to do was watch Saturday football, college level, and see that Arch Manning had to face a pretty good defense in his first start and had a little bit of a rough time. The young man at Monterey, Jason Sims' son, steps in, very similar situation, had to kind of feel those growing pains. You've seen quarterbacks do that here fairly recently, Jay. What do you expect Quaid to do as a bounce back after that, knowing that you've worked with him here for a few months? You know what he's capable of.
Well, I've only had since really March to get to know Quaid, so I don't know that I know him super, super well. I have spent a lot of time with him, between March and now. But one thing I do know about him is he's a competitor.
Yep.
And it's been my experience that when things like this happen, competitors find a way to get better from it. I think a lot of times maybe they just get real angry, and it motivates them to go out and really be who they are. And I don't think we've seen the real Quaid yet, but I think it's coming.
That's a good segue, because I would imagine that's what he said about having a good mat on probably all the Tigers this week. were pretty motivated. What was practice like this week as you guys get ready for Wichita Falls Memorial on Friday?
Yes, sir. Like you said, motivated, and then just keeping the energy up, knowing that was just our first game, and knowing that we had opportunities to go and win. They didn't just come out and beat us. We kind of beat ourselves, is what we said.
I'm searching for your clip. I'm going to see if I can get it to Kyler in there to show folks, because if you didn't see it, whether you saw it live or on video, I've seen between you and Leighton, Coach knows this, I used to come up to Leighton or Coach after games and say, so was that just a Leighton thing? And he'd say, yeah, it's not something you coach, and that's, as much as you and your receivers coach would like to take credit for it, that was just a Chase thing.
Yeah, we work on a lot of one-handed catches. Yep. Chase will tell you that's definitely not the case. If anything, they hear get two hands on the ball. But yeah.
There was one of the college games I saw very similar. That's what I thought in my head. That looked like Chase Campbell. It was a guy, the quarterback actually was not a great throw, and he jumped up and pulled it in with one hand. It's like, yeah, that's what.
Those are difference makers for sure.
Yeah, that's what unique, great athletes do. We're going to turn the page. Byron Nelson's a team that's going to win a lot of games. I think Friendship's a team that's going to win a lot of games. As I mentioned, Friday night at Wichita Falls Memorial, which I believe beat Fort Worth Wyatt 36-22. That's a team that you guys faced early on last year. I think their second game of their existence last year. They got better and better, wound up tying for the district championship in the same district Lubbock Cooper's in, and I think went maybe 3 rounds deep in the playoffs. So they gained confidence and momentum. What do you see from year one to now with them in this second year?
I think they're an improved team. They built upon, their success that they ended up having this last year. They have a quarterback back that's a really good player, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. Coach Bendel does a great job with his teams, and I know they're going to have high expectations for themselves. And so, we're expecting a tough game for sure.
You guys had to score a little bit to beat them last year.
We did.
Was 66 your season high?
Wasn't a season high, but it was up there.
It was necessary.
What was our season high, Chase? 77 maybe?
Something like that.
You're giving me flashbacks to that El Paso game. I still
It wasn't 87, Randy. It was, I think 77.
And also didn't last 7 hours like that one. We're coming up on a break. It was fun, Chase, don't get me wrong. We're coming up on a break in the Tiger Fan Zone. We'll be back after this to talk more Friendship football on 100.7 The Score.
Bringing you the latest news from Friendship Athletics. This is the Tiger Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back into the Tiger Fan Zone. Kyler, were you able to call that up? Okay, I'll let him work his magic back there. As I mentioned, Friendship goes on the road to Memorial Stadium. They play Wichita Falls Memorial, 7 p.m. That'll be on Double T 97.3 FM. Let's see, they're the Mavericks, right?
Yes, sir.
Which is I'm glad that they picked a unique name for their mascot. You got it, Kyler? All right, folks, if you're watching at home on TV, check out Chase's catch here. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it or not. How many times have you watched it, Chase?
A few.
Just a few.
I watched.
That's the beauty of technology that I actually like, is that you can download that and keep it forever. You don't have to fish out an old videotape and try to cobble it together.
I can hear it, Randy.
There we go. And I'm not sure, that may have been Greg Powers, the recruiting guy, that said, wow. He's a guy I've known for a long time. Do you realize you're making a play like that, or is it just 100% instinct?
Man, it's just really just instinct. Like Coach said, we don't really practice it. It's just something like you see it, you just want to catch it, and one hand, two hands, just trying to make a play.
Did you practice it?
A few times. A few one-handers.
We were just talking about how young people may not know everything that Jay and I know. You know who Odell Beckham is, right?
Yes, sir.
That's when I realized the one-handed catches started to become something that guys actually work on. And I covered Odell in college. He worked on it in practice. That the one you saw that you see all the time, him and a guy named Jarvis Landry, who also played in the NFL, would spend part of practice just working on one-handed catches. So I guess it paid off for you guys.
Well, I wouldn't say we practice it. We try to get two on it, but I've practiced it a few times, maybe on the jug machine or not.
I'm glad Chase gave that answer, Randy, because you were just giving him some ammunition for us to start practicing one-handed catches.
Work that into the practice schedule.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this, the Friendship connection, when Kendall Briles got to Friendship, and he was so on target, your guys' quarterbacks have been great, but him and Sawyer have probably been the two most on-target quarterbacks I've ever seen. Kendall would literally throw it out there. Now, this guy turned out to be an okay player too, but David Thomas would just run routes and he'd just stick a big paw up and just snatch it out of the air like it was a mosquito or something. Have you met David Thomas?
Yes, sir.
Proud friendship graduate who I believe has 2 Super Bowl rings. I know he's got one because he played for the Saints. That may be something you have to work on at home.
Yeah.
About who throws you the ball at home. You've got good quarterbacks that work with you with friendship, but who's throwing you the ball at home?
Really, everyone. My dad, my mom, and then my sister doesn't throw a bad ball.
Well, there you go.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Yes, Jay, you could have a breakthrough. There's a female kicker at Coronado right now.
Hey, she's like soccer. We know that. She might be the kicker.
Well, I'm going to assume you guys don't need a whole lot of one-handed catches to bounce back this week. My wife, who Jay knows this well, high school graduate with coach over there, she asked me the other day, she said, do you think Friendship will be better this week? And I said, yeah, I'd be really surprised if they don't do things a lot better. So it's one of the guys who's got to make sure that happens. What do you guys have to do to get better?
Well, I think defensively that we just need to build upon our performance from the first week, and then offensively we don't really have to be anything different than just be ourselves. We've got to stay on track, getting first downs. We've got to have some consistency within the offense. And so that's been an emphasis all week, is just working on our habits, trusting the process, and being who we are.
Because looking at your numbers, if my math is right, 66 plays for Byron Nelson, and they finished with 330 yards. So that's not bad at all for a 6A football game. No.
Like I said, the defense, I felt like played really well against a good offense. We gave up some points. One of those scores you mentioned was a tip pass that just so happened to fall into one of their hands. And, we hung them out to dry quite a bit with leaving them out on the field, and they played a lot of snaps, but I was very proud with the performance of the guys on D.
Now, one thing that Quay did say, Chase, that I do agree with is it doesn't matter who you're playing, you can't turn the ball over 3 times against anybody. That's going to keep you from getting momentum. How do you guys make sure you tighten that up?
Yes, sir. Like Coach said, just staying within the scheme, not trying to do too much, not make plays. Just know that we'll make plays for sure, but knowing that what we do will get us wins and make sure we take care of the ball.
Like I said, my wife's a smart woman. She said, I bet they get better. She didn't. I didn't say it. She said it.
I like your wife's thinking.
Well, as you know, she's a good playing person. So we're coming up on a break. We'll be back for the final segment of the Tiger Fan Zone right after this break on 100.7 The Score.
Breaking down friendship sports. This is the Tigers Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back into the high school fan zone. I've mentioned last night and tonight we're going to start a new feature on the fan zone. We're going to pick a boys player of the week and a girls player of the week. And since we're on friendship, that's relevant because as I mentioned last night, the girls player of the week was Miss Hannah Hutchison, who had a huge week for the Tiger volleyball team at the tournament they hosted. Boys player of the week is Bo Davis, the running back for Lubbock High, who ran for 240 yards. I have a hunch that throughout this 12-week season, we'll probably land on a couple of friendship guys at some point that have pretty big weeks.
Pretty good odds, I think, on that, Randy.
I don't use a template when I do it for HubCityPreps.com, but I'm usually pretty used to typing in Chase Campbell. I was pretty used to typing in Leighton Stone and Holden Phillips, so I have a feeling we'll have some names in there. So, but Hannah Hutchison, we were talking about your sister. Man, she's still in the spotlight from Big Brother a little bit.
If you know anything about Hutchisons, they're usually pretty good athletes.
Yep.
So that doesn't surprise me one bit. Congratulations, Hannah.
And Hannah stepped up last year, had to fill in when one of the older girls had an injury, and I remember Amy talking about that she's going to be really good next year, and she has figured that out. She's become a really good volleyball player. We're going to stick to football a little bit longer here, though. Wichita Falls Memorial, 7 p.m. Friday, Memorial Stadium, Double T, 97.3 FM. We talked a little bit about them, but what do you expect to see from them? They're coming off a win. You're coming off a loss. First game, that's going to happen a lot. What do you expect to see from them, Jay, that is going to test your guys?
I think they have a pretty balanced offense that has potential to be explosive. They've got a really good offensive line, and I think they're coached really well up front. And they provided some fits for us last year up front and running the ball. And then they've got a running back that's really elusive, so I think you combine that with their quarterback's ability to throw and the receiver's ability to get open and make some plays, then they present a pretty big challenge for us, I think, going against them offensively. So, we've got to figure out how to both stop the run and defend the pass, and that's what makes a balanced team hard, a lot of times. And so I think that presents its own challenge. And then, defensively, they've changed some schemes. They've got in a scheme that where they can put a lot of guys in coverage if they want to, and so you talk about balanced offense. We find balance in a different way by spreading the ball around, and we set the runs up with our passing game. So I think we'll have to try to find a way to navigate that new scheme and figure out how to pick up first downs and put the ball in the end zone.
Because I did think it was just in short spurts. I thought you guys, when you ran the ball, it was effective both with Chase and with Braden Dunkerson. You didn't have chunks, but you had runs that were meant to kind of keep the defense honest the other night. Yeah,
and that's kind of how we felt about the run game, especially too. But like we mentioned earlier, we just kept kind of getting off schedule, is what I call it, putting ourselves in downs that you don't have a lot of options to make a play call, and so we want to try to avoid that, and like I said, just keep moving the chains and executing. So Chase, that's all schematic and X's and O's stuff. What do you guys have to do better, just emotionally and mentally better right out of the chute Friday?
Yes, sir. I would just say execute all around, all four phases of the game: offense, defense, special teams, and then just on the sideline, just have everyone locked in on the game, not wandering off, but just knowing that forget last week, we're over it and we're on the new week.
It was okay to be mad probably Friday, Monday, Tuesday, but I would imagine today you have to start locking in and thinking what's ahead instead of looking over your shoulder.
Yes, sir, for sure. Can't just look over the loss. We could learn from it and then just get ready for the next one, like you said.
Jay, I'll mention this to Chip Darden when he comes in. I've said it to both of you this week. The good news is it's one game, and it's the first game. You get 9 more chances for your guys to get better. And you've mentioned, both of you guys have mentioned it. Last year you lost the game. That was a different kind of loss, but you got better that second week. You kept getting better. Is that kind of what you expect this team to do as well?
It really is, and I think, a lot of times you hear this, and I think it's true, that you make the biggest jump from week 1 to week 2, so I'm counting on that, especially this week. One thing that our boys have always been out at Friendship is resilient. They expect to win. They expect success. Obviously disappointing to lose a game, and especially in the fashion that we did, but I feel like it's just motivated us this week to come in and really prepare to go out and get our first win this year.
They'll take aim at that, as I said, Friday night, 7 p.m. at Memorial Stadium. I've lost my train of thought there for a second. It starts happening when you get old, Chase. Chase, without giving any secrets away, when is your plans on? Is it November when you put pen to paper, if that's still the
Yes, sir. Is it December?
December.
Somewhere in there.
Yes, sir. December.
Well, congratulations to this young man. Texas Tech's got a little pipeline going to Friendship, and that's not a bad place to go. We'll be back after this break in the Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.